Hi, I'm Kevin Kittredge, and I just want to say before I get started, Dustin, this is the coolest bio I think I've ever read. And I want to hear that poem that you wrote on top of the H&C coffee sign sometime. Many years ago, I quit a job I didn't like very much, and I moved back to Virginia where I got to college. I lived in a cabin in the woods, and I started writing fiction, and a lot of things followed that extreme decision, some of them wonderful and some of them awful, but one thing that never followed was publication. However, I kept writing. This is from a recent manuscript, unpublished, called Becky. As Mama recalled it, she used to like to recall it. The March wind was brutal on the morning they piled their few belongings into the trunk of their Buick Riviera and headed west back in 1971. The mountains all around them were still winter brown, Lincoln's Hill itself without a speck of hopeful green. Dieter's Run was roaring with snow melt, and tiny Becky had a hacking cough. The wind hurled sleet at their faces like little javelins. Bull Linkus was at his livestock market in Hadleyville that morning, as he was every morning except Sundays, when he served as a deacon at the Indiantown Baptist Church. Mama had known better than to tell him they were leaving. He would have pitched a fit, made her cry, maybe even sent her new husband packing and locked her in her room for a while, until he cooled down anyway. He was capable of volcanic eruptions. And leaving Lincoln's Hill with baby Becky was hitting him where he lived. If Big Bull didn't care much for John St. Remy, and he didn't, if his own daughter had humiliated him by giving people something to snicker about behind his stiff, proud back, and she certainly had, little Becky was the joy of his life. His granite face cracked into a grin at the sight of her, his rasp of a voice turned fond and foolish. He made clucking sounds, bent over her crib, and gave her the ends of his stovepipe fingers to bite and suck. "You'll break his heart twice," said Grandmama Linkus, after Big Bull's white Lincoln Continental had disappeared down the mountain. Mama and Papa began loading things into the Buick's cavernous trunk. Only Grandmama was there to see them off, miserably complicit and bound to suffer for it, standing in the doorway of her big white house with baby Becky in her arms one last time, swaddled in blankets against the shrieking wind. "You don't have a heart, Mama. You don't even know, child. You don't know it all. I got scars on my butt to tell me. They hurt him worse. They didn't either. Come see us in San Francisco, Mama Linkus." Becky, years later, imagined her Papa at that moment from the old pictures in Mama's shoebox, irresistibly handsome, his white teeth flashing, his long hair and the leather fringe of his hippie coat flying in the wind. And she imagined her grandmama smiling in spite of herself. "I don't see why you can't at least wait for spring." She had a point there. There was bound to be trouble with the weather that time of year, if not here in the southern Appalachians, then further on in the Rockies or the Sierra Nevadas. And that old Buick, there were pictures of it too in the shoebox. It was a wounded veteran, his tires bald, his fenders gnawed by road salt, his front bumper crumpled in some long ago disagreement never repaired, and the old photographs had jutted outward and upward on the left side like a gnarled, grasping hand. To any objective observer, the odds of that car ever seeing California must have seemed mighty slim. But Mama and Papa were on the brink of freedom at last, and not objective. And they were young. They left Grandmama wiping tears with her apron. As Papa steered the car over Dieter's Run, running chocolate and foam under the one-lane bridge, and turned onto the county road, he and Mama began to yip like coyotes. They hugged in the front seat as the big car veered crazily from one side to the other of the narrow road. Mama rolled down her window and hooted at the woods and the cowering deer. "Yee-haw, California!" She'd never been anywhere.